If you've been enjoying our podcast as much as we have and hope that we continue past 50 episodes, here's your chance. Here's your chance to help make that happen. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, not only will you help the Little House on the Prairie 50th Anniversary podcast to live on, but you'll also get exclusive content just for you.
Here's what's in store for you. Join monthly Q&A sessions where you can ask us about anything. Whether it's about our work, personal interests, or advice on your own projects, we're here to connect and share.
Enjoy unique content created specifically for Patreon subscribers, including bonus segments from our shows.
You'll have a say in what we create, and you'll have a voice in future content.
Benefit from exclusive discounts on merchandise and entries into special giveaways. It's our way of saying thank you for your support.
Receive personalized shout-outs in videos, podcasts, or social media posts.
Because your support on Patreon allows us to dedicate more resources to creating the content that you love.
You could join the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast community on Patreon and become a Prairie patron for just $5 a month. We thank you so much for your continued support, and we cannot wait to share our ongoing journey with you on Patreon.
We are extremely grateful for the support of VisitSimiValley.com and the city of Simi Valley's belief in Little House on the Prairie and their support of the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast.
Discover the charm of Simi Valley, California, the home of the prairie. Visit Simi Valley, where adventure meets history and the spirit of the prairie comes alive. Explore the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, step aboard Air Force One, enjoy stunning hikes and savor delicious local cuisine. Whether you're here for a weekend getaway or a family vacation, Simi Valley offers something for everyone and is only 30 minutes from Los Angeles. Plan your visit today and experience the best of Simi Valley. Go to visitsimiValley.com for more details. Your adventure awaits in Simi Valley.
Welcome to the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast. And wait, I'm not Pamela Bob. I am not Pamela Bob, the writer, producer, and star of Living on a Prairie, although I was in it. Yes, this is Alison Arngrim, the Prairie Biatch, fresh from Thanksgiving dinner at the Smokehouse down the street. Yes, and I'm here with our hashtag my imaginary boyfriend. Well, your imaginary boyfriend, fine. Mr. Fabulous Dean Butler. Hi, Dean.
Hi, Alison. How are you this morning? The Christmas season is officially upon us now. This is definitely my favorite time of year.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have to. They're going. Wait. Okay, this is great, but where's Pamela? Where is Pamela? Where is Pamela?
Well, Pamela. Okay, so we're just going to say that Pamela had a holiday conflict that at the last moment was unavoidable. So we'll let Pamela tell you about it herself when the time is right, in her own words.
Oh, in her own words.
Work?
That makes it.
Okay.
Yes. No. And
Okay.
tea will be spilled. She will tell you everything. She will absolutely tell you everything, and we'll let her.
Will be spilled.
Big tea will be spilled. She will do it here. And we just want to say again, we are so grateful for our patrons. It's 367. This is 367.
Yeah.
One for every day of the year.
Almost.
Plus two.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support. We hope you're enjoying this and the start of our holiday season.
So one of the big decisions this time of year is always the Christmas tree.
The tree.
Are you putting up a tree? You do that?
Yes, sometimes because we leave. We keep
Sure, that's
Bob
right.
and I go.
You travel
we go
to
to
points
Tennessee.
east.
We go to
Right.
Tennessee to the Schoonover family compound, and they have there's 3 trees there. I don't know how many trees there are. There's one in the living room, there's one down. So
I have 2 trees in my house, so we do 2 trees. So there'll be one for you.
There'll be one for me. Well, we might, because we leave. I might put up the artificial silver one that comes with the thing with the color lights. I got one.
That
the
is so
1950s thing.
1950s.
It's brilliant. It is a 1950s
Is
perfect
it where you still have the
reproduction.
thing, literally, with the thing turns.
Yeah. The color wheel that turns on the silver tree, and Bob loves it. He goes, "We had this when I was 3. I think we had this." Is oh my god. So we have that, and it's good because cats can't kill it. So
Yeah, no, cats can't kill it.
Yeah.
and they could climb it. If
And they can
wanted
try.
to.
They do like that it's
Yeah.
all shiny, but I don't let them eat any of it. So there you are. There you go. So
Good. You don't
we'll
let
be
them
doing
eat the aluminum tree. That's good. So we have two very special guests this week
I'm
on
so
the
excited.
podcast, and we'll meet them right after you do the honors.
I
Alison.
get to do the panel. This is so exciting. From UBN Go in Burbank, California, this is the Thanksgiving edition of the Little House 50th Anniversary Podcast.
Okay, here
I
we
love
go. So let's get right to today's special guest.
We're happening.
Yeah.
We're happening.
This is, we've had guests from throughout, and we have many more guests that we will have.
Everybody.
Today, this is sort of interesting because we are going to welcome the children
Yes.
of one of Little House's most beloved, memorable characters, Mr. Edwards.
Mr. Edwards, old Dan Tucker was a fine old man.
Yes, he was.
Saying
Marked
it.
his pace of the
Saying
frying
it, baby.
pan. Yeah. So
yes.
So they are
here.
both of these two are Southern California natives, now residents of Virginia. She's been a singer throughout her life. He's an artist. Please welcome Tracy Hall and Victor Allen French.
Yes.
Well, guys, welcome to the 50th anniversary podcast. What brings you to Southern California?
Well, born and raised here.
Yeah.
Visiting, family and friends.
Yeah.
Like coming home and
It's
visiting
20
for a little
degrees
while.
in Virginia right now, so had to come where it's
That's a good idea, yeah.
upper side.
I feel a little like we have Victor in the room with us. This
I know.
is
Well,
kind
there's
of
yes,
amazing.
when Victor's here, the older Victor, Mr. Edwards Victor is always in the room when young Victor is
I mean,
here.
the
Yes.
the resemblance is shocking. Down to the plaid shirt. Yes. Good man.
Yes,
Good
it's
man.
Part of the old costume. Wardrobe, sorry.
And Victor, we know you as a man of many hats. The hats are definitely your thing.
I got it from my dad. He collected hats too, and I like to wear them.
So now you're also in town for our the final for
This year.
2024.
Final 2024.
Thank you for
The
answering
Little
that.
House of the Prairie 50th anniversary tour.
That's right.
See
in
me.
Big Sky Movie Ranch.
See me bust
In
through.
Really
Valley,
looking forward to
Valley
going up there.
tomorrow.
Yay.
Yeah, I was living in right here right now today, and yeah, we'll be there tomorrow.
Did you? And so now, just so we get the time right, this podcast will drop on next Thursday, 4 days after you've done the tour. Oh. So we're sort of playing with time here a little bit, but we're just going to be honest about it.
Yeah.
So you're here the day before the tour,
Yes.
but this will drop 4 days after the tour.
It's Thursday. We had a wonderful time. It was great. No.
I was going, yes,
That's
yes.
where
We've
are
done the
we?
tour so
Where
many
are
times.
we? We had such a
we
good
could
time.
describe Alison and I could describe the tours that we haven't done yet because we've done so many of them.
So many. Yes.
Now, when you were there did you get out to the ranch? I don't recall. Did you get out to the ranch during? Okay, you didn't in March.
We didn't.
No.
Oh, boo.
We were busy at that table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
I know
crazy.
Victor
Loved the
really wanted to
fans.
go up there, and we really wanted to get an opportunity to go up there and see it. So
Passing out my free hugs.
Do you need to be a little closer to the
I do.
microphone?
I need to be a
you go.
little closer.
right up
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You just
Very
scooch
good,
up.
Hi
very
there.
good. Yeah, you don't have to get but that's good.
Yeah.
So you did not have a chance to
didn't
get
have
there
a chance
during
to do
the
that.
event.
No.
What's sort of interesting is it was lush and green when we were doing the event in March because, of course, the rain had been falling wonderfully and it was beautifully mowed. Now, when you see it tomorrow, it's going to be much more like what you would remember it as being during the production of the program, where, of course, in
Yeah.
California,
Yeah.
Long grass and
brown.
rattlesnakes.
Brown.
I think the rattlesnakes are heading
warm.
away now.
Yes, it's cooling off.
Yeah.
It's getting
Yeah.
too cold, almost
Yeah,
too
yeah.
cold for snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally.
So I'm just curious, how much time did the two of you spend on the Little House set all those years ago? So going back 4+ decades.
Before I started working or after?
Just before or after?
Oh, before.
So you were there before you even worked.
Yeah.
Yes. That's when I every time I would come on the set, Melissa Gilbert and I would sit there and play together. We were friends, so made stick bombs. I saw a video the other day of a stick bomb, and this guy, it went on for miles, and I was like, I got to get this to Melissa.
I just remember getting in the car with Dad and driving up there for the first time.
Wow.
And it was going up in the back up there. And
Yeah, I didn't know we had
we loved
grass
going
like
up
this
there.
around
Loved
in
playing
LA.
up there. And the one individual that stands out the most was Catherine McGregor.
Oh, God, yeah.
This woman was, and the food. Oh, the food.
And the food.
Boy, did they kept us happy.
Yes.
The food. And Kelly and I
concur.
running around and playing. But I remember it particularly being extremely cold that day. And that, we went into the interior of the house, the little house. And she made us tea. It was an empty shell.
Right.
And just watching how they filmed it and stuff. And it was neat seeing our dad so thrilled with this character that he got to play.
Now,
So
how old were you at this time when you were first visiting this house?
Well, was I 12, 13?
Yeah, I was
Older.
2 years older than that.
12, 13.
Yeah.
Is it?
I remember the first time he took me up there driving up, and he made sure we stopped at some place and had breakfast, and he said, eat pancakes. You're going to have to wait to have our lunch.
Oh, yeah.
It'll
yeah.
stick to your ribs.
Yeah, there you go.
He's absolutely hearty breakfast before a day on a set. He's
I've
right,
had a
man.
lot of hearty breakfast.
He knew.
And he loved it. He loved it.
Could you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, before Little House, that was the thing I found fascinating when I finally saw stuff he did when I grew up and saw the things he did before and read about it. He was completely different. We go, yeah, Mr. Edwards. But he had this whole other career before Little House where he was not that guy. What was it like?
Oh, well, we were very good children. Because wait until your father get home means a lot when you then watch him kill somebody on television.
He was a bad dude on TV. He was
He
bad.
was actually rated top 5 heavy in the United States.
Really?
for a long time.
Top 5
but
heavy.
As a kid growing up, we didn't see that at home. That character, that bad guy that he played. When the gun smokes and the bonanzas and stuff like that. We never saw that at home, but it was,
Really?
one time. I didn't.
Oh,
you
we're
were the
getting
brother.
exciting now.
You were the
We're
brother
gonna
that
talk
used to
about
pick on
sort of
us.
perhaps the darker sides of you, or the fun that your father had playing the
Yes.
darker
Oh, I was
side.
just thinking of the fun
Later.
stuff where
We
he
had a
would show that
side.
scary side.
Yeah. Well, your dad was one of those actors with this tremendous facility to play in a really full emotional range. I mean, some actors have some actors are very close to what they are. Your father was so rich in his emotional life that he could. I always think about Victor and Alison. I'm sure you'd agree. I mean, Victor could make you laugh. He could make you cry. He could make you. He could scare you. He had it all.
He could do it all. And how happy was he to get Mr. Edwards? Because, as I said, he was hated. He was a man
All
we
those-
loved to hate for years. And suddenly, he's like the most loved guy on earth. What was that?
It changed him. He was getting to the point where he was looking in the mirror and seeing the bad guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
And because of how he learned his lines, his method was to know why he was saying these things. So that stuff invades his head. And when he was like just before Little House, he was sad because he'd look in the mirror and see that bad guy. And then this Mr. Edwards came along, and it just, I could play somebody likable.
And I remember the look on his face when he walked in the door from filming the pilot.
Right.
And he had been out of town, and he came walking in the front door, and I'd never seen that look in his eye before. Yeah,
That's great.
It was just a joy. And he couldn't speak because he got sick,
Oh,
Because he'd been in the river.
Oh,
through
the crossing the
river
stream
in the
and
wetsuit.
underwear. Oh, my God.
and the fans blowing and doing it. But, when
And
you're doing
standing
something
there,
that you
waiting
love
for the
like
sun
that,
to clear.
The story
really
that there was a bottle of some adult beverage there with him to sort of give him the illusion that he was staying warm before he actually crossed the creek.
I
ahead,
would
Vic.
think so.
Go ahead,
I
Vic.
was only there the day after. It was
Go
the
ahead,
first
Vic.
time I went up on the Little House set was while they were filming the pilot.
Yeah.
My mother put me on a bus, and I rode for 8 hours up to Lodi, and he took me up, and then going into the little hotel room where the production crew is showing, they showed the film of him crossing that creek. And he knew he was susceptible to cold. So I think it was not
Very
so much to give him the ability, this is a reward for you.
Yeah, right. No, I can imagine. And that wonderful moment when there's the knock on the door and they open the door and there he
All
is standing
covered
looking
in
like
ice
the
and
abominable
snow.
snowman.
There he is. Santa! It's Santa!
That was
I mean, it just,
that was our dad. That was our dad.
And he delivered all of that so beautifully. You know, it just, and everyone's reaction was just a wonderful reaction. The girls were so grateful. Ma was wonderful, just sort of shy and grateful. Michael had a wonderful reaction. Your father had this ability to bring absolutely the best out because he was so committed to what he was doing.
Acting as a whole, he wanted to help every actor.
Yeah.
100%.
You know, just
Yeah.
that's Tracy's conversation.
No, but he did. He, understanding human beings, and understanding.
He'd take us to Disneyland and not go on any of the rides. He would sit there and people watch.
Oh.
He just
That's
loved
what he's
to learn from watching people. And then when we're sitting there with him, he makes up stories about what they're going off to do.
He had a good time.
Genius.
That's one of those that I think your father understood. And this is stuff that, it takes a long time or a while to learn, is that as human beings, we form impressions of people instantly when we see them. And your father, watching people, is sort of processing who's what and how he could perhaps adapt to some of that in something that he's doing. And he just was he was just a sponge for that.
He was, he grew up with his dad, who was a stuntman in all these old B westerns.
Oh,
so
nice.
he grew up walking to school with his sister and playing the Cowboys and Indians and playing these games and living in this fantasy world. And as he learned how to ride young because Grandpa was a cowboy. Of
course.
That's where we're descended from, is cowboys.
Real cowboys.
Yeah.
Now, how did Victor and Michael first meet? Because these two, this is legend. Michael Landon and Victor French were best friends. I mean, it was the Little House, Highway to Heaven, and I mean, they were brothers here. It was Crazy's relationship. How did they meet, and how did that all happen?
I believe it was on a Bonanza.
Right.
And I don't know if Earthquake Callahan was on Bonanza.
Earthquake Callahan? I like that.
He played this boxer
I believe it's from Gunsmoke.
who fought a bear in a fighting ring. And it was a comedy role. And Michael saw that in him. And that's what I believe what carried him to go, we need Victor French to play Mr. Ed.
Well, and he had always been known as a practical joker.
I know
he
his yearbook.
read for Inspector Clouseau.
What?
Yeah, that was one. But one of the funniest people. He just was a practical joker.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Comedy, but he was up for that kind of. He loved that kind of humor.
Yeah, go look at his high school yearbook. You can see what a practical junior.
I'm sure you have his high school yearbook.
She might, but just the pictures of him in there, every photograph is him playing a joke.
Well, it is standard knowledge when he went to North Hollywood High School. They had a classroom outside of. They had a chair set up outside the classroom.
Yeah, and when I went to the same school,
just
they said,
please go sit over here.
Please, your father's chair is still out there. And they expected me to be like him, but nah.
the class clown Willie stand in the corner chair.
Yes.
Many a practical joke through the high school and college. So
one of my favorite scenes, again after Christmas, then you watch in the same pilot episode where your dad teaches Laura how to spit.
Yes.
That that's such a wonderful scene, that earnestness and the pragmatic, learning how to spit and the stiff breeze, which was a line of dialogue. Now, I'm sure the line of dialogue was written, but if it wasn't, it's something that your father would have come up with.
I think it's what led him to the Edwardisms that he would come up with, He figured, okay, he's going to come up with stuff like that. I was there when he created the line about Catherine McGregor, about that lady would make a train take a dirt road.
Yes!
Yeah,
yes.
That's the one.
That lady would make a train take a dirt road. That's awesome. Awesome.
My favorite one was when he babysat.
Oh, well, yeah.
The first time and blew the hole in the roof. I mean, I close my eyes and I can see him standing there with the shotgun and him drenched from the rain coming through the hole in the roof.
Well, I know that's when we talked when we've spoken to both the Greenbush girls. They talk about that episode as being one of the favorite things that they got to be a part of, primarily because they got to be with your dad. And I guess is
the roof getting the skirt nailed to the roof.
Yes, well, that's
she was
what
going
a
over,
fun
and I was up
moment.
on the roof, and I could see everything, and it was great.
Did they actually nail the dress? I mean, how did they?
Skirt.
Wired to
she was
roof.
wired. She said there was safety equipment harness,
Good,
but he
Thank
nailed her
goodness
skirt
for
to the
that.
roof. She thought it was great. She wasn't scared at all. She was like, "Oh, this is awesome."
This is what I'm here for.
Obviously, Alison, you were there from the very beginning. Watching any particular stories from those early days that?
Well, I'm just going to come out because you got directed by him, right? Did you get directed by him?
Sure,
okay,
sure.
So
As you did too.
the episode, The Talking Machine. Now, as we know, that's one's a doozy. That's where I record poor Laura talking about it. I go, oh, so you really like Jason, don't you? And she starts going, I love Jason. And I've got Willie in the back, the Victrola that Mr. Olsen got bamboozled to buy. And he goes, well, this will never catch on. Why do people want to record things and play them back? And it's hilarious. It was a brilliant episode. And so we've got Willie, he's recording it, and I'm getting her shit, and then I play it in school. I am just vile. And your dad directed that. So there's this scene where I get the idea. It's where Jason clearly likes her, not me, and I'm hysterical and sobbing and trash in the room as usual, breaking things. And I start to go to break the Victrola, and then I don't because I get the evil idea that I can use this to ruin her life. And it's just the tears and then the maniacal grin. And so he's egging me on trying to really get the true evil. Now that week, I had been teased about these comic books I had been reading because, as a strange child, I've read all the horror comics. And I was reading these really great comic books. Some of them were about swamp monster zombies, and the others were werewolves. And I think there were swamp werewolves, but they were great. And several people have been like, ugh, werewolf comics. And Victor's directed me, and he says, okay, no, more. And it's just like this endless close-up, zooming in slowly as I'm like... as the maniacal idea of how to ruin everything in the world for Laura immediately is coming to mind. And he's like, no more evil, no more. And then he went, think of your werewolf comics. And I just the most delighted, awful grin. And he's like, that's the one. Thank you. Yes, gut print. And you can watch that scene. And I've had people say, my God, what were you thinking of? And the look on your face. Yeah. Victor, he directed an episode and is absolutely, I am just so hateful in that episode. And the complete throwaway when I'm cranking the thing. I can't stop. I'm sorry, Miss Beadle, it's broken. And I'm clearly standing there cranking the thing, but absolute deadpan of doing it. Yeah, that was all your dad. That was all your dad.
Having my father playing villain all those years, it was just to get you through that.
He knew. I knew I was standing in front of the master. I knew.
That little piece inside of them.
Yeah.
You push the right buttons in any human being, they're going to react a certain way.
And he knew from villainy. He knew.
Yes. What beauty is temporary, villainy lasts forever?
Yes, beauty fades, but villainy lasts forever. Yes.
Those words.
That's a t-shirt.
That's definite. Is that on t-shirt? One of our
It is
t-shirts?
on one of our lovely T-shirts that you may purchase, indeed, at our site. Makes a lovely Christmas
Your
gift.
father directed 18 episodes, I believe, of Little House. He was in 58 episodes of the series. His presence is much larger than the 58 episodes that he was.
That's so neat.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is true. Now, Victor, so I came in season 6, and when your father returned in season 6, you came with him. Had you ever been his stand-in before that experience? So tell us about that.
Well, he had always been saying, "No, not yet."
Well,
before then, he still had a beard. I didn't have one. That's what got me the job was this beard.
Grew into it.
As soon as I was able to, I mean, he talked about it when we drove back from New Mexico after he filmed some movie out there, and we came driving back, and he was like, "As soon as you grow a beard, you're going to be my driver and my stand-in."
Really?
Yes. And as soon as I got the beard, he went, "You remember? I got a job for you."
What was that like for you stepping in? I mean, so now you've obviously been watching your father work for years, but now you're dressed as him and you're watching him do what he does. So the acting bug still wasn't getting it at all.
I have horrible stage fright. I can't.
Really?
Yeah, I get up and my brain overloads. With your family, I have no trouble with family.
Yeah.
But this is wonderful. But I was on that set and going on to sets with him all the time. So to me, it was nothing to go there and just spend time being there.
Cool. Sure. Well, and it was a very comfortable set to be on, too.
The most comfortable. I remember extras coming in and going, "We're on Michael's production. Everything's going to be great."
Yeah, everyone knew.
There was one moment, I just want to share this real quick, that I had come to visit Dad on the set when Victor was dressed up, and he's my brother. I don't see he's looking like my dad. And they were sitting next to each other, wearing the same costume. And I stopped because I was out living my life, and he's, living his life. And I'll go by and visit Victor and Dad on the set. And I stopped dead in my track because I didn't see you with a beard. I'd never seen you with a beard before.
Wow.
I love it because when I'm sitting at one of the events and I'm dressed up like him, I get that same thing from people who didn't expect him to be there.
Didn't he
of course.
die?
I am just a stand-in,
Yeah.
but I hug much better.
Well, of course, when you're there at events, you've got the hat on, and you've got the whole thing going. You really do. Now, and you became known as, you picked up a nickname, not surprising nickname as we've gotten to know you, but how did you come by the nickname Bear?
Well, the first day I was working, my father walked me out after stopping everybody and said, "Hello, this is my son. He's working with us. His name is now Bear." That way,
Right. So
we
not
both
Victor.
wouldn't come running when they yelled Victor.
I christened thee Bear.
But it worked out great. I even had a license plate.
Oh.
Bear 1.
That's cool. Listen, we'll be back with
heading into break.
Victor Allen French, the Bear, and Tracy Hall to learn more about the man we knew as Dad, or about the man that they knew as Dad, and more about how they're working to preserve their father's legacy when the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast returns.
When you visit Simi Valley, California, you're stepping into the pages of history. Go from the pioneers to the presidents. Explore beautiful wildflowers, hike through iconic Hollywood locations, and end your day aboard the actual Air Force One at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum. Throughout the summer, take the Little House 50th Anniversary Tour at Big Sky Movie Ranch. Less than 15 minutes from Los Angeles and 30 minutes from Universal Studios, Simi Valley has small-town charm with big-time history. Go to visitsimivalley.com for more information. We are so grateful to visitsimivalley.com for their commitment to presenting the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast.
So, welcome back to the podcast. Pamela Bob is taking a holiday break today. Alison and I are here with the children of Victor French, Mr. Edwards. They are Tracy Hall and Victor Allen French. known affectionately as Bear.
Grr.
Your dad, both of you had a wonderful career. Now, I'm just going to read from IMDb here. On IMDb, they say his film and television career began in 1955 on TV's Reader's Digest, and it finished 34 years later after 111 episodes of Highway to Heaven.
Good Lord.
He was uncredited as the front office clerk in The Magnificent Seven in 1960. 3 years later, he's the star of from the uncredited clerk. 3 years later, he's the star of The Quick and the Dead. He guest starred on Hawaiian Eye, 77 Sunset Strip, The Virginian, Wagon Train, Hogan's Heroes, The Wild Wild West, one of my absolute favorites. He guest starred on Bonanza 5 times from season 4 to season 12, on Mission Impossible, The Streets of San Francisco, Kung Fu, The FBI. He would work with Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.'s daughter Stephanie in The Golden Moment and Olympic Love Story. I worked with Stephanie right around that window in a little movie called Forever. He did 18 episodes of Gunsmoke. I think he directed 8 or 9 of those episodes.
He directed a lot of
something
That's
like
the set
that.
I grew up on.
He did 44 episodes of Carter Country.
Starring role.
He had one incredibly memorable scene in the wonderful film, the Taylor Hackford film, An Officer and a Gentleman, playing Deborah Winger's dark stepfather in the movie.
Great.
And then he did 58 episodes of Little House on the Prairie, directed 18 episodes, and then of course was in one of the 3 final movies. Well, he directed one of the 3 final movies, Bless All the Dear Children, of the Little House series. And with all that acting on the big and small screen, acting on television and film was not what your father aspired to.
No, he actually.
I mean, this huge career on film and television.
big star.
And that's not really what he wanted to do. What did your father really want to do?
Oh, he wanted to do stage, and he always said an actor learns his craft on the stage. I was, blessed to be able to study with him because I got bit by the acting bug. I'm just going to touch on this real quick. When I was in 6th grade, and we had always, all of us had studied different arts and music and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then I did my first play where I played I played Benjamin Franklin's mother and that Franklin girl.
In the 6th grade?
In the 6th
You
grade.
were Benjamin Franklin's mom.
I
in the
love that.
No,
this is what happens in the 6th grade.
Now, when you're raised by somebody who treats acting as their religion, is what Dad, he said, you have to be willing to work hard and treat it as your religion, and don't let anybody mess with that. And that was his motto. So he studied and came back and had acting workshops and part of the Company of Angels. And I did this play, and I got into developing a character and a role. I squirreled off on that, but that's where I got bit by the bug.
Well, I think it's interesting that your father said to you that he thought that junior high and high school acting should be illegal.
Yes.
Really?
So,
I know.
so here in 6th grade, you're stepping in, but you're doing something that should be illegal. Why should junior high and high school
and
acting be illegal?
He never said this at that time, but he would come in and talk to our classes, and he said that to me on the side. He said, the only reason I'm saying that is because there's a lot of really bad habits that are impossible to break later on. Because, you'll have a director who'll want to get a reaction out of you and force you into making a face or mug, or force you into or line reading, which is not what the craft
It's
of
a
acting
lot
is
of
all
junior
about.
high and high school
And that's
acting.
what they do, and that's why
Terrible.
he was directing, film and episodes of Little House on the Prairie, and directing stage, dealing with actors that had just come out of high school, and he'd have to break them, in his workshops. That was more in his workshops to break through. It's like somebody learning how to play classical piano and they're taught at home. They may have some habits that have to be readjusted. So that's why he said that.
I do have to
On
say one other. There was something he wanted to be before he got into acting.
Even before acting.
What was that?
I think in high school he wanted to become an animator at Disney, and so he transferred that love of doing art to me instead. He would show me how to draw.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And I just ran with it.
So So now,
Oh, and you did
are there
forget one
lots
thing
of-
he was
what's-
in.
what's that?
That
lots
is
of
my
things
most important thing.
Okay.
He was in Batman.
shut
was he in the original Batman?
The original Batman.
Yes.
Yeah. And he
That
was
was a
on a
frat
tilt.
party then.
Because
On a
he
tilt, was
was
he
a
bad?
thug.
The Adam
Was he a bad
West-
guy?
Yeah.
Wow.
And get
Yes,
smart.
he was
Which
in a
bad
King
guy?
Tut episode.
I loved the King Tut once.
It was he was one of the thugs that came in,
Of course.
and he said, "Where's the guy you want us to rub out?"
I've got to share this because when he was the Get Smart, the first episode of Get Smart, his character was actually supposed to be dead. When he opened, it was on the Orient Express.
He was supposed to get killed.
He was supposed to get killed, but he showed him
He
the
ad-libbed
video.
a scene about the cost of secret note paper.
Yeah, and strangling
And-
wires gone
and
up to $6.95.
Blake Edwards just went, "You're just going to get wounded."
And they kept him kind of alive. After that.
Too funny to die.
Too funny to die.
Nice.
It was funny. Yeah, it was funny.
I'm just curious who your father's because obviously he had such range. We've talked about this. Who were his mentors as an actor? Who did he watch? Who did he love?
'Cause we all watched him, so where'd that go?
So many.
He
Sir Laurence
he wanted to
Olivier.
give me an appreciation of acting, although I didn't have the bug, but I like to know why I think this person is good, and that was Marlon Brando.
Yes,
He-
Marlon Brando.
He just, "Oh, you haven't seen any, Victor?" We'd get home from work, and he said, "Go down the hill and rent every Marlon Brando movie you can find."
Yeah.
And then he would sit there, and we would watch them together, and he would go, "Now watch this."
And the one thing that he shared with me is that there is no such thing as a stupid actor. Actors read. And there was actors on acting, and Sir Laurence Olivier was one of his all-time, the George C. Scott. And,
That's the guy my dad really just.
George C. Scott.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Did.
E.J. Cobb, But he really liked.
Oh, it just.
And we would watch a movie, and this actor would come on, and I go, "Fuck, Dad, this guy is really good. Who is he?" And he'd go, "Tracy, dear, that's Sir Laurence Olivier." And then he'd be in something else, and I wouldn't recognize him.
Well, he could disappear.
He could
Right,
disappear, and I'd
Get
see him
into-
in something else and go, "Who is this guy?" And he'd go,
Yeah.
"Tracy, dear, that's Sir Laurence Olivier again."
Very few actors could literally disappear
Yeah.
into a part the way he
Phenomenal.
Oh, and Robert Duvall. That's.
could. Robert Duvall's
Yeah.
another one.
He,
I'm sure was did your
he
father
would
like
call. He
Robert
called
Duvall?
him the chameleon.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's.
Who else? There
You
was-
can watch every movie, and he's a
Spencer
different
Tracy.
person in every one.
When I first saw that, I didn't know Robert Duvall's work at all. When I first saw The Godfather, and I watched this, where did they find this guy? He's just like this, he's like this sort of very simple, straightforward guy. I mean, there's no real acting happening here.
He's not doing
I mean, it's like,
anything.
as the novice watching this,
Yeah.
and then you watch the other performances that catalog of performances. I mean, what an extraordinary.
found out about
talking
that.
about Catherine McGregor. Catherine McGregor loved Robert
And-
Duvall.
And was obsessed with Marlon Brando.
Yeah,
and would
of course.
Because she
Oh
was
my
she
God,
was in On the
Marlon.
Waterfront. She was on the waterfront for 5 minutes, and she was like, would never let you forget it because she loved Marlon Brando, Marlon.
Yeah. Well, he changed Marlon Brando for those who are younger in our audience. And I recommend that if you can go out and find, they're everywhere. Watch Marlon Brando movies if you have an appreciation
On the
for
waterfront.
acting. Yes, on the waterfront. Marlon Brando is credited
Sidney
with
Poitier.
changing acting. American acting in a way that became much more realistic and emotionally connected. It was became a very internal craft instead of an external craft. And he was. I remember when I first came to Los Angeles, sitting in coffee shops late at night, sitting in Dupars in Studio City, eating stacks
Dupars. Moment of silence for Dupars.
stacks of pancakes, and talking about
Beautiful.
Marlon Brando and Robert Duvall and Al Pacino and these guys who were so, and this was like,
and the
this
Dustin
is like
Hoffman and
early
Midnight
80s.
Cowboy and these roles that were just
incredible
that you could
stuff.
really kind of sink your teeth in and become these people.
Well, your father, it's easy to give lip service to that. Your father was fully invested.
He lived it. He lived it. That was his.
Yeah.
That was his deal. And there was the library that he had, which he left to this gal, and wagged the finger, going, "Don't ever sell."
Wouldn't
don't
have
ever
mattered
sell.
who he left it to.
And
We were
had
going to
the
make
list.
sure you got it.
And he would share something with me like the sentence about there's no such thing as a stupid actor. Actors study history and they study everything. So because if let's say, just for example, that you and I are cast in a play and we're playing brother and sister, we've got a whole life prior to sitting down at this table. Prior to what we had for breakfast and walking in this room. And it's very different now, being 2024, that if we were playing brother and sister, let's say 1939 Berlin. There's different. So you'd have to know that. And let's say we're doing stage, we've got 2 months to go through all this stuff. And Alison, you and I are playing sisters in some. We got 2 months. But doing film, you got to do it instantaneously. That's why he always kept me away from doing anything in film so I could learn the craft of acting, which was on stage. And so that when you enter into it, you know what you're doing.
That's what a lot of acting teachers say. Learn on stage. Go do film and TV, but learn how to do it on stage.
You study this much to do that much. Anyways, we kind of got off.
The illusion that I've always used, I think your father would agree with this, doing a play is like playing in a sandbox where you get to know every grain of sand. Working on film and television is like taking a long run on the beach.
Absolutely.
Backwards, sometimes backwards.
And you just, you don't, the sand is changing underneath your feet instantly in the sandbox. You're molding, reshaping.
Right.
You have more
and
control
film
of
and
the sand in
TV
the
is
sandbox.
the director's medium. It's not the actor's.
It's the editor's medium.
It's the editor's
The
medium.
sandbox in theater, you're in the sandbox every night for a week. You run on the beach, and then you go get back in the car and you leave when you do film. It's very, very different. It's jarring.
Speaking of work on the stage, what was some of your father's favorite work on the stage? I know he directed extensively here in Los Angeles, and
He did a play called The Time of Your Life with Henry Fonda and Richard Dreyfuss. And one thing that was more memorable about this play that he did, which I learned, is that it doesn't matter what is going on. He had some hobbies, and one of them was he had a tumbler. He was a rock hound. And we
were all rock hounds.
We were all rock hounds. Yes, copperoperless. He bashed his thumb, and he had to do. They
It
wanted
was a
to amputate.
geode. They had been touring around. Touring around the country with the play, and when he finally got back here, he could get to his geode and break it open and see the crystal thing. So he went inside, grabbed the geode and the rock hammer, walked outside, and went wham, and smashed his thumb flat. And they wanted to cut it off, and he said, "No, I have a play tonight."
And he did it with bar tools wrapped.
He played the bartender, and by the end of the second act, the white bar towel was pink. But he went on and on.
The show must go on.
She must go on.
The show must go on. But
on.
the other real quick one that he did that was really impressive for me, and his favorite was The Bear by Chekhov. And he did it in Hollywood.
I
and
got to
saw
see him finally on stage doing
two
that.
times. And it is this, he plays this Russian landlord who shows up at this widow's house to get the money that her husband owed him. And throughout the course of this play, he falls in love with her. And it was one of the best.
When I got to it just occurred to me the one thing difference between stage work and TV is the interactions between the audience and the actor. Because at one point he gave me a wink from stage to go, "Watch this," and proceeded to do this grandiose.
So he broke the fourth wall.
Totally.
Yes.
I think I don't think Dad would have ever. But I saw him do two performances
Suck
of
it
it.
in.
One time he was healthy. The other time he was sick as a dog, and he used it.
Yeah, right.
He was able to
Right,
use this
right.
as.
The other play
Sorry, I
is
got off.
12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
Right.
He directed that and rewrote it to allow more than just women to play it. More just men,
right.
so women can play in it.
So
Excellent.
it became 12 Angry Americans.
Americans. Yeah.
So cool.
And it's so interesting because I got a phone call about a month ago from a gentleman who is living in New York and he was in that production with Dad.
The first or the second one?
The second one.
That's the coolest one because they rotated the characters every night.
Right.
And everyone had to know everything.
They had to know
They
the whole
wrote
plot.
every
I think he told this
Every
story.
night.
Wow,
I would go mad.
So
Especially
I
when
get-
the little lady that's playing one of the characters is now playing the guy that grabs the character and pushes him up against the wall. He had to teach her
to do that.
to how to
That's awesome.
to be that kind of person who would do that. I loved watching him direct. When he was acting, I know he's good, but watching him direct whenever he directed, I was always on the set.
Yeah.
100%.
I think many of us who worked on Little House with him when he was directing felt like we gave some of the best, most balanced performances that we gave on the show when Victor was directing, because he could be your friend. He was your colleague. He was your acting partner. He was totally plugged in to what the whole experience, off camera, on camera. He was all there, and it was really great. Go ahead.
Go ahead. But because he really saw himself more as a coach, as an acting coach.
He was great. He
As
was a great
the
coach.
director, the logistics of everything, but his passion was acting, and he loved coaching other actors.
So you have done, you are so invested in your father's life and career. Obviously, it's a beautiful career. What are you doing now as you work to preserve your father's legacy? Give us a snapshot of what you're doing.
Just a real quick snapshot. Number one, getting the phone calls to come and meet you guys and see what we love this show, and we love everything about it, and to be able to hang out with our family, the Little House family. But
It is the family.
the neat thing is we have collected all of my dad's. Can I?
Sure,
Just
hold it up.
Just
Share it with the camera.
Number-
Let the
number
camera
one,
see it.
I'll hold this up. This is just an idea. This is my dad as an acting coach. I don't know if you can see.
There he is. He's
Yeah.
right there.
Oh,
He's that little blur right there. He's
And that's my brother's finger. And
But he has. There's okay. You've created a store,
yes, we have
an online store that
Yes.
you just launched. Tell us about
we
that.
have Victor French Family Store. It's a
Okay.
website. You can go
Family
on
store.
and buy merchandise. Victor and I are going to start a podcast.
yay.
Yeah, there's so many ideas that
Well,
we have for this.
As a child, I was only a child. When I was working on the show, I only watched the episodes that my dad was in. Because I had a life. I was, I got things to do.
I was
I
13
married-
and I had other
married
things
a
to do.
Little House on the Prairie fan.
Uh-oh.
And now she's showing me all the rest of the episodes. And I think this would be really fun for the people to see, the fans to see
yeah.
our reactions
Oh,
to
wow.
the rest of the show.
And it's
To
not
shows
just
you've never
that.
seen.
Shows
Yes.
they've never seen. And I moved to Virginia. I have 11 acres, and I raised my own food and mill my own wheat and got a husband. So there's all of these things that we do in regards
So
to.
would you say you live off the grid?
Yeah.
So
Wow,
is that
to
the way
some
you would
extent.
describe it?
We
Sort
have
of?
in the past. I'm a little older now, so I
Okay,
run and
not
get a
quite
can of
totally
green
off the
beans.
grid?
So not totally. But there's
We
nothing.
still
There's
need
no
electricity
flavor like
and
the
the
taste of a
internet.
canned tomato. There is no flavor like that of a
Real.
chicken that you've processed yourself, that you've raised and processed yourself. There is a connection that I can't even begin to describe. So, but we have a ball, just going through movies and talking about stuff, and so we have this
Her
idea.
poor husband.
But the Little House on the Prairie, this legacy that is left, and we've got so many like Christmas cards from people that love the show. And we want to be a part of keeping this legacy alive.
Well, hopefully you'll share some of those
Yeah.
things online. Now, sitting on the table in front of you
Yes.
are your father's notes for a book essentially a book that he wrote, and it's called A Matter of Choice.
Yeah, what's interesting.
So tell us about that.
I'm definitely real quick. These are letters that my dad wrote to my mom.
When
And
he was
I'm
in
gonna
New York,
open this up.
learning how to be an actor.
Yeah.
This is Victor's book. Victor was writing a book about acting.
About acting.
Yeah, we
Oh
have
my
a few
God.
items that
Yeah.
we're getting ready to publish, and it's called His Life, Our Stories. And it's a brief biography on my dad, his history growing up with his family. Then our crazy anecdotes with this man, comedian / fun guy named Victor French, and him as our father. Yeah. And then this I found a notebook. It was a blue denim notebook. On the cover was in gold letters was a matter of choice. And there's a photo here of it, and I just want to show it to you. Number one, real quick.
Look at that.
Yeah, I'm going to hold it up. I want to get these papers out of the way. For starters, there's him with it, but this is it. This is all of his typewritten pages. Go ahead and hold
Old
that.
school. There it is.
Old school, typewritten.
Double spaced.
Can you see
There it
that?
is. A real manuscript. Yes.
Yeah, that's the way it used to get done. So you and I typed our books on our computer.
Word process.
I did print things
Now
out.
we thought something that's really interesting that we're definitely going to do because it's his words, it's his markings in here.
Yeah.
These are all his little notes.
Notes.
We're just going to print it.
As it,
Yeah.
You will
With
get
the
a
notes.
laugh
I don't
out
want
of
to change
this.
anything.
With the
my
notes,
dad
yeah.
spelled worse
With
than
some
I did.
photos. Without.
Oh, so we get to see all the bad spelling.
Yes.
Love it.
My mother used to retype his
You know,
stuff.
we're all
and just sit there
human,
and
man.
howl.
None of us are perfect. None of us.
But you're going to do it like as is the original, what he wrote, his views on acting, directing, all of it, with his personal notes and things crossed out and everything, his thought process right there in front of us.
And then with the
Nice.
scrapbooks and stuff that we found, one of these massive scrapbooks that has photos of him growing up and his
All of
whole
his
theater
early
career,
theater
all
work.
the way through, of putting together like a photo album.
See, I would read the hell out of that. I would read that. I would sit up all night reading that.
Yeah,
There will be lots of pictures.
Okay.
Well, the pictures are great. Listen, I hope that as you are stepping into this, that you'll keep your Little House family informed about this, and that you'll give us the opportunity to help you share all this
day
material
long. Absolutely.
with an audience.
We welcome
We always share with the family.
Well, and we want to share beyond the family.
It's just, yes.
Yeah, if we can. Listen, we could go through this page by page. We don't have time to do this today, but I want to just thank you for coming in and joining us today on the Little House 50th Anniversary
I would love
podcast.
to. I want to thank everybody out there, for watching the show and loving our dad and keeping him alive. Because
Yes.
it's memories for us because we move on with our lives.
Sure.
It's so
And to have my
Thank
family
you.
back by being involved in this.
You're talking again. I'm
I'm talking
That was a
again.
joke, sorry.
Yes.
You guys are fabulous. This was fabulous. We could do this for hours.
Yeah.
But all right.
Yeah.
But that's our show for today. We have to stop now. I know it's terrible. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Bear. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Dean. Pamela, are you watching? I don't know. You're watching. I think you're watching. You're probably not. She watching? No, she's not.
What is
Anyway,
this, Pamela
Pamela,
Bob?
while you're somewhere off, completely ignoring us, abandoning us here
We're
for
feeling
our own
it, Pamela.
devices. Thank you.
We cried.
And we can be seen everywhere podcasts are found. We will see you soon. And yeah.
I want to thank our engineer, Tony Sweet, to our
We love you,
branding
Tony.
team, Joy Correa and Christine Nunez, to our patrons, to the Little House family, the Simi Valley Chamber of Commerce, and of course, visit simivalley.com.
And now, if you're not already, you can follow us all. The website is littlehouse50podcast.com. Can't get simpler than that. Also, all the links to all the episodes. It has our newly opened holiday merch store.
You can follow us on Facebook,
Hello.
Instagram, and TikTok at Little House 50 Podcast.
And of course on Patreon. Please come join the 357 people. Is it the 367? 367?
Yeah.
Join the
Come join them.
367. Come
Yeah.
join them at patreon.com/Little House Podcast. And join us again next week for another episode of the Little House 50th Anniversary Podcast. Okay, I love the way Pamela says it. We usually used to Pamela saying, but I said it.
You
It's
said
my
it.
it's my
It's your
damn line.
Happy
And I
holidays,
really
everyone.
did say this at the 50th anniversary. Bob, get the wig.
Let's fly, everyone. Raise your hands. Woo!